So this movie is going to explore some more functionality of autofill regarding trends and series. We're going to start by looking at a linear series where we can extend the series. We can convert cells that contain some values to a series that best fits those values linearly and extend that series into more cells. Or we can establish a step value and thereby determining the interval between each data point. Then we're going to look at growth series and do the same thing. We're going to extend a growth series. We're going to take existing values in a range of cells, convert that to a growth series or an exponential curve that best fits that data and extend that series into some adjacent cells. And then we can also establish a step value that's going to be the multiplier to determine the exponential growth series. And finally, we're going to look at some date options where we can establish a step value and extend the series based on that interval that we establish for either the days, the weekdays, the months, or the years. So autofill, dealing with trends and series. We're going to start with a linear series. We've got a simple linear progression happening here where each value is the prior value plus 2. So we have 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 2 is 5. I can select those cells, right-click and drag down, and extend that series directed by the option that I'm going to select with this drop-down. I'm going to select a linear trend, and autofill advances that series into the cells. 5 plus 2 is 7, plus 2 is 9, plus 2 is 11. Pretty straightforward. These cells don't establish a clean linear series. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 2 is 4. It's actually more like a growth series. But we can have Excel determine a line that best fits these 3 data points, and then it will extend that series to the cells that we've selected. So selecting the 3 cells to establish the series with, right-clicking the fill handle, dragging down, releasing, again selecting linear trend, Excel has done what I suggested. It's taken the first 3 data points, calculated a line that best fits those data points, and extended that series that it calculated into the selected 3 adjacent cells. There's yet another way we can establish a linear series. So I've got the same values here, 1, 2, and 4. We can have Excel extend this linear trend into some adjacent cells and also convert these cells to the values that would also best fit the line that's being calculated that would fit this linear series. I can hear somebody say, what? Well, let me show you what I mean. Right-click, drag down, left-click series, and by default, columns are selected. That's correct. The type of series is linear. That's correct. We want to establish a trend, though. We don't want to do the step value, which is what we're going to do next. When I left-click OK, Excel has converted those first 3 data points to be right on the line that it has calculated that would be a linear trend based on those first 3 data points, and then extended that series into the 3 adjacent cells. The last way that we can establish a linear series, I'm going to select the first data point, right-click, and drag down. We don't have a series, really. We have one single data point. How do you have a series with that? Well, you can use that as a starting point to establish in columns a linear series with a step value of your choosing. This step value, and I'm going to move this over a little bit, is going to be the value that gets added to our starting cell value. And since it's a linear series, it's going to add 4 to the prior cell. In this case, the prior cell is 1. So we'll have 5, 9, 13, etc. I'm going to left-click OK, and Excel has extended that series into selected cells based on that step value that we just determined. So all of those things we just did with linear series, we can also do with growth series. These 3 cells represent a clean growth series. We're going to get whole numbers. 1 times 2 is 2, times 2 is 4. When we right-click and extend this series into the next 3 cells, and then I left-click on this menu, Growth Trend, 4 times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32. We can also have Excel calculate a growth trend based on these 3 values, for instance, and this isn't a clean exponential growth, but Excel will calculate the curve that best fits these 3 data points and extend the series based on that curve into the selected cells. Right-clicking, dragging down 3 cells, left-clicking growth trend, Excel has done just that. So we can also, just like we did in linear trends, select 3 cells with values that again don't fit exactly on a growth trend. Right-click the fill handle, drag down, left-click series, and once again, columns is selected by default. That's correct. The type is a growth series, and we want to extend a trend and not use the step value. Left-clicking OK. Excel has converted those first 3 data points that it calculated the growth series for, converted those data points to a value that exactly fits on the line, and then extended that series into the next 3 selected cells. And finally, we can, right-clicking, dragging down, left-clicking series, establish a step value for a growth series that's, let's say, 4. So it'll be 1 times 4 is 4, times 4 is 16, and so on. I think the next value is 64, 256, and then 1024. So we can also establish step values for dates. I'm going to left-click cell H5, grab the fill handle with the right mouse button, drag down, release, left-click series, and Excel by default has selected columns. Obviously we can select rows too if we go in that direction. The type is correct. It's selected date. It knows that we selected a date to start with, and the date unit is by default the day, which is also what we want. The step value, I'm going to select some weird number, 142. So every subsequent cell is going to be 142 days after the prior cell. Left-clicking OK. To check that, we can do some math with dates. Equal that minus that. We have 142. Weekdays. Same drill. Select the cell, right-click, drag down, left-click series, and select weekday. Step value. Let's pick 3. Left-clicking OK. So we began with Saturday, but Excel will establish the series based on the weekdays. The first weekday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, is the 3rd weekday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday is the 3rd weekday after Wednesday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is the 3rd weekday, and so on. So we can establish a step series with months as well. Selecting the cell, dragging down, left-clicking series. Months, let's pick, 5. OK. We have September, October, November, December, January, February is the 5th month after September, and the series continues. And we also can do the same thing, right-clicking, dragging down, selecting series with years. And I'll pick 03. So we have September 15th, 2012, 15, 18, 21, and 3 years elapse in between each one of those cell values. So that's autofill, trends, and series. We looked at some linear series options that we had. We can extend the series that Excel calculates based on some values that already exist. We can have Excel extend the series and also convert the values in the cells for which the series was based to values that are exactly on the line that it's calculating that represent the series, and then extend that series into adjacent cells. We can also establish a step value that's going to be added to the prior cell's value. For growth trends, we can do the same thing. We can also set up a step value that determines the interval of time between dates in terms of the number of days, or the number of weekdays, or the number of months, or the number of years.